Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy Road Dogg here with the shock jock of business coaching himself, Karl Bryan, Big Shooter.
How you doing, Big Shoots? What's going on, bud? What's going on in the Road Dogg's world?
I've been reading your jokes, hence the shock jock comment. I don't even know where to start, dude. Like, are you getting these from some sort of like dad joke website or what's happening? Like here, this one. Okay, hang on. You know, it was this. What was this now? I tried to organize a hide and seek tournament, but good players were really hard to find.
Don't pretend like that's not funny, Shoots.
Oh my God. What is going on? Like, this is something else. But anywho, there you are. Karl Bryan, he's more than just a pretty face, ladies and gentlemen.
I know that you are holding, because I know that you're probably looking at possibly something a little more vulgar than that and holding back. So possibly for the podcast, we should do that. But
yeah, I'm not going to go with that other joke in regards to not being able to pee out of your ear. That you have to subscribe to focus.com, ladies and gentlemen. Go to focus.com and you can get all of your shock jock in your inbox every single day. So there you are. Hey, listen, before we get into this, I got to thank you. And I know it doesn't happen often, but I definitely don't thank you enough. But last episode, you touched on something and it resonated in a big, big way. And that was, you were talking about, we always put off things like charitable and giving and stuff like that. And we always push it off to, well, when I get to this income level, when I get there, I'll do it. And that one really hit me hard. I got to be honest with you. So,
love it.
As a result of that, I just actually yesterday made my year-end offering to Elevation Church. So I am now part of their giving family, which is made me feel really good. So, and I'm also going to set myself up. It's not going to be anything major, but it's enough for Operation Underground Railroad as well. So I just think, two amazing organizations. And so I thank you for that, my friend.
Oh, boom. And high five, my brother. And so, and for everybody listening, if you look, guys, here's the thing. If you make $10,000 a year and then you don't give, $10, $100 or $1,000 to charity, don't think for a second that once you start making 100,000 and then 1 million and then 10 million, that you're magically going to be this massive philanthropist. Part of when there's a game, you probably heard Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So there's a board game, Cash Flow. Part of the game, which by the way, I highly recommend. I played that game over 100 times by myself. Maybe shouldn't say that, but that's just, I love the game. Why? Because it taught me, like I knew that I was learning something. I just wasn't sure what I was learning. Anyways, as part of the game, the more, I can't remember exactly how it works, but the more money that you give, to charity as a philanthropist, the more money, the quicker you get out of what's called the rat race, which is the goal of the rat race, the goal of the game, right? So anyway, very Road Dogg. I love it, and I hope that everyone will take heed with that and follow suit, because it's without question, if you find a family, first of all, it's going to feel amazing. You don't have to wait for Thanksgiving. You don't have to wait for Christmas. You can do it any time, because quite frankly, everybody's doing it at Thanksgiving. Everybody's doing it at Christmas time. Maybe it's, Christmas in July when you need to be doing it. It's just very, very powerful. You're going to feel amazing. But what will happen is you start living in a world of abundance. You'll change the way you see the world, the way you see your bank account, the way you see your wallet, the way you see money, the way you see, scarcity and abundance. And it's a very powerful exercise. So without going down that rabbit hole, high five to you, brother. I love it. And I hope others will follow suit. Well done.
And you know what? At the end of the day, and if you can't do anything from a financial standpoint,
Time.
what about just donating some time? Like, how many people have gone through a pretty tough time over the past couple of years? How many businesses are suffering and everything else? Like, this is an opportunity for you to give people some hope in a time when they really need it. So, anyways, I don't want to get too emotional or anything else here, because it's an interesting path, but it does lead me to a question that has been staring me in the face for the past 3 episodes, and I am so glad we are finally here, that we can finally tackle this question. I've put it off, and I apologize to the person that asked it, and the reason I did is because this is worthy of the start of the show, because I have a feeling it's going to be rabbit hole city for probably both of us. But the question was, how do you tackle the balance between helping your client live a great lifestyle and building the 7-figure business that they desire? Like, this is
Ooh, there you go.
beautiful. So do you want to fire away and start us off on that?
Yeah. Okay, so help your client with a great lifestyle versus 7-figure business they desire. Love it. Yeah, great question. There's 2 things in life that are very rare, Road Dog, and that is being old and being rich, or as a combo, right? Okay, so there's reasons for it, and it's just people struggle to avoid stupid, and then if you wonder why do people make such stupid decisions and make these grossly ridiculous financial decisions, because there's opportunities everywhere, right? So like. Actually, you know what, Road Dog? Before we get going on this, there was something you mentioned my emails earlier. This week, I sent out a couple of emails that I think had quotes that kind of genuine, like they dropped me on my backside. So just what was it was one from Charlie Munger, one from Warren Buffett. If you don't know who those guys are, you should. They're very old and very rich. Okay, a good thing. And their business they own, Berkshire Hathaway, and incredibly intelligent guys, right? No doubt you've heard of them. But anyway, so Warren Buffett said something to the effect of, Warren, what kind of business do you like? What do you look for in a business? And I think they were looking for, value and that sort of answer. And he goes, I like to find something for a penny that I can sell for $1, and that is habit forming. Okay, so I might be making a little bit of a meal of that, but the premise is there. He wants to find something he can buy for a penny, that's inexpensively. He wants to sell it for $1, which is a massive margin. Okay, so don't forget the dollar. That could be 10, 100, 1,000, a million, 10 million. The bottom line is 99% margins here, right? And it's habit forming. Okay, so think of chewing gum, habit forming. Think of cigarettes back in the day, think of vaping nowadays and then cigarettes back in the day. And by the way, I'm not condoning, I'm not a fan of vaping. I'm not a fan of cigarettes. But at the end of the day, if I were to be building a business and I wanted to really, really crush it and buy myself, massive yachts and massive houses and never think about money ever again, this is habit forming on steroids, which translates into profits. Think Facebook. Right? How many times have you logged into Facebook? Think Instagram. Think Red Bull. Somebody who drinks Red Bull, again, it's a little bit habit forming. You got to keep it. If you got a teenager, you got to pull it away from them. YouTube, I think, has that addictive. Social media generally. Golf, I would put. Sports. I don't know. Tennis, I'm sure would fall in there. We met on the pre-show, Road Dog. Pickleball got a mention. I've never played pickleball in my life, but I guarantee there's an addictive nature to it, right? Supplements. I think those, when people start taking supplements, they start feeling the effects. Very powerful. So much power in that statement. Buy something for a penny, sell it for $1, and it's habit forming. That's yeah, and look at my email again. On the pre-show, we were talking about my emails and some of the jokes to do. Think Howard Stern, his radio show. People, they did a survey and they're like, why is this show so popular? You can't even stand the guy and you're tuning in all the time. And they're wondering what he's going to say next. That was the most popular thing that they heard on the survey or the feedback from Howard Stern's show, right? So So anyway, so that's habit forming. Yeah, I want you to think about that. What are you doing to be habit forming? Your local event. When you do your local events, I always talk about you got to be educational, but you got to be entertaining. The entertainment factor will be more addictive by a long way than the educational, but you should have, both of them. Anyway, so think about that. Hopefully, and I'm not sure that it will hit as powerfully as it maybe needs to hit right now. So maybe that's something you want to write down. You want to put it on. One of the things I do is I put things. If I hear something like that and it knocks me on my backside, I often accept that it's just when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and sometimes the student is not ready. So I'll write it on a post-it note. I put it on my computer. As I sit here, I'm actually, like my computer's here. I got post-it notes all around the outside of my computer, and of course, my daughter comes and takes them off and puts little funny jokes, which is, makes it interesting. My computer's got post-it notes all over it. Anyway, so that's what I do. Buy it for a penny, sell it for $1, habit forming. The other one, so that was Warren Buffett. And then Charlie Munger said, again, I'll probably make a meal of it, but the premise will be there. They asked him something about, getting a result X, Y, Z. And he answered with this: show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcomes. It's show me the incentives and then I will show you the outcomes. The world is driven by incentives, right? So, example, most coaches I'll speak to, they try to risk as little as possible when taking on a salesperson or a lead generator, right? So it's like, oh, okay, well, I want to get somebody, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay them on results, and I'm going to pay them for, bums on seats to my local live event. I'll pay them when I get a client, right? What they're really saying, okay, in a risk reward kind of dynamic, is that what if it doesn't work? Okay, well, if you're concentrating on what if it doesn't work, what do you think happens? Okay, think of a driver, with witches hats or cones on a course, right? Like go-karts going around cones. If you're concentrating on the cones, you smash the cone. The whole secret to aggressive driving is concentrating on the area in between the cone, right? So they're fixated on it not working. But anyways, Road Dog, I just wanted to go through that from a couple of emails. Kind of drop the mic moments, I thought. So a little bit off topic, but yeah, I love those.
So, okay, so you really haven't tackled balance at all. So good job. Like in terms of, I'm just going to chime in here when it comes to balance and lifestyle, because as Karl, you've given me great props in terms of, the life that I created for myself with my family, which is the most important thing in my life times a freaking million. But look, when it comes to habits, it just, you're trying to get your clients or yourself to build a business that you truly love. Like, give yourself permission to have boundaries with your clients. Like, if you're trying to get a hold of me, like, I'm sorry, there's no marketing emergencies. There's no business planning emergencies that happen on a weekend, right? Tech may fail and everything else. Yes, that warrants a phone call and that warrants some attention. But there's no reason for your client to be bothering you when you're trying to read bedtime stories to your children, when you're trying to spend some time with your wife, when you're going out on a date. There's just certain boundaries that I think are very important. And I think it's because I know I've fallen in the trap in a previous life where you are living in a scarcity mindset and you allow clients into your personal space. And I just, yeah, it's not, it doesn't feel good. And you don't even realize the consequences that can have in your life. And at the end of the day, don't we all want to have a life where we can sort of separate a little bit? We can have fun in our business, but we also know that, hey, you know what? My clients, I'm not going to bother them on the weekends because I want them to recharge. So other habits, make date night a habit. Make taking your children on a date a habit. Make taking yourself on a date a habit. That's probably one of the most overlooked. Everybody's talking about date night these days, Karl, but how many people are actually taking a little bit of time every week truly for themselves? So,
yeah,
that's my 2
cents.
Think,
Road Dog, I would say what you just defined, you're calling them boundaries. I'd refer to that as rules. I think it's like every people talk about, we've talked about this in the podcast in the past, but you're trying to build culture. What is culture, right? It's like oxygen. It's kind of like this doesn't really, what is culture? Well, you want to have culture, create rules. And then if you want an example of that, and by the way, this first principles is where I'm going as a mental model, is that the rules of, like, the foundation of football are the rules. The foundation of hockey are rules. Pickleball, mentioned that a minute. I've never played pickleball. I don't even know what the heck pickleball is, to be honest with you. But I guarantee that there are rules that we all need to follow. And that is, so when you're building your business, like, what do we talk? So lifestyle versus 7-figure business. Again, think, what rules do you need to put in place, right? And being rich, ironically, it's about avoiding stupid decision. I said a second ago, like, it's very easy. Like, it sounds like a throwaway line, but they're words to live by. Just avoid stupid decisions versus try make grandiose, excellent decisions. Avoid stupid, right? Like, 3 questions to make if you've got a big decision. Like, you got a big decision to make. Okay, go to 3 questions. What is possible? What is negatively possible? Can I live with the negative possible outcome if it comes to fruition? Am I doing a good job of, like, 1, what is possible? 2, what is negatively possible? 3, can I live with the negative result should it come to fruition? And then that will tell you, should you, basically undertake it. Be very fearful of opportunity of a lifetime, the can't miss stock investment. Something telling you, you don't want to miss the boat, or that fear of missing out. I'll take care of everything. Envy drives stupid decisions. For people, like, you got to use roadmaps, you got to use mental models to help yourself think that can't miss opportunity of a lifetime. Like, rich people, like legit wealthy people, very seldom speak like that, right? Um, Second thing that I think I'd recommend you do when answering this question, about, like, lifestyle versus 7-figure business, is, like, what are your values? It's common to think someone's values, like, it's very common for someone to think that somebody values money, right? But money is not a value. What does money do for them, right? So if it buys them a Porsche before it does other things, then what they really do is they value the attention of the Porsche, right? So attention is what they really value. If they put the money into their kids' education, it's not the money that they value, it's their kids' education that they value, right? So a lot of people will talk about, giving money to charities and helping kids, right? They'll talk about it all the time, but you look at their bank balance, you look at their activity, and you don't see it. It's the attention that they seek, by putting themselves out there as this philanthropist, right? Like, they don't actually value being one, and that's sadly common, by the way. But so, in sum, clearly define what it means to have a great lifestyle. I think that is really, the premise of this and how to get there. Great lifestyle will be in alignment with your values. And that will be different for different people, right? Road Dog's values, my values, your values, somebody else's values. They might be similar, they might be the same, but they're probably going to be different, right? Like, Road Dog, here's a great exercise. So somebody's listening to this, and this is not world conquering. Oh, I need to determine my values. Well, how do you do it? What's the framework? To determine your coaching clients' values, because they won't be certain. I can almost guarantee you that. Again, I ask somebody what they want, they tell me what they don't want. So here's my question. This comes out of a book, by the way. I can't remember what it is, but if your house was burning down and you could only grab 3 things, what would you grab? Okay, and you get those answers. And then you ask them, what would those 3 things do for you? And go through them individually. They just did a really good job of clearly defining their values: good, bad, indifferent. And they might need to adjust those values. They might not like what they said. They might be overvaluing their phone, as an example. And that's what, I've seen. But that's basically how the way you get there is using a framework, asking somebody, look, what are your values? You're probably not going to get you're not going to get straight to the answer, right? So that's a little exercise you can do, and that will help you guide your client, because it's important to understand, if I'm going to coach Road Dog, to know what a family man and how dedicated he is to his wife and to his family and to his faith. It'd be crazy for me to start directing traffic with him without understanding that. But when I ask him direct, Road Dog's very in tune with this stuff, but a lot of your coaching clients won't be. So that to do a little framework, a little exercise like that, will help you get there. So, just, but basically, just making sure your values are aligned properly. It's a great way to have a great lifestyle, which I think is that's the question we're answering here. People value money. It's not it's not the money, right? It's the choices that money gives you. When you ask a dad, what's he going to do for the money? And he says that he wants to look after his family. It's really being the leader of his family that he values, not the money, right? Another person, again, says red Ferrari. I said earlier, the Porsche. It's that feeling of significance that they really value. Another person wants to be able to send their daughter to university. It's the education of his daughter that he values. So, look, Rhoda, let's move on. But what I want to say is that alignment is a lot. I think what we're talking about here too, you got to make sure that you're aligned, because don't try build a 7-figure company if that's not what you want, and you're going to end up in self-sabotage, right? So the secret sauce, a lot of people will say, to happiness and what I'll call contentment. Is that the right word I'm looking for? Like contentment, feeling self-assured, feeling fulfilled. Very common for somebody to accomplish their goal and feel like, is this all there is? And they've got an emptiness. They're not fulfilled. So living a life in alignment is a superpower, right? The problem is defining alignment can be hard. And then, so if you were to ask me, similar with a framework, the secret to alignment is to not do the things that are out of alignment, right? So premise in some, the ability to say no, right? Road Dog started with that. Like, you got to be able to say no. Stand up for your values, stand up for your family time, stand up for your own time, stand up for your own boundaries, your own rules. It's one thing to set the rules. It's another whole thing to abide by them, because you don't have an umpire, right? And in football, they do. In baseball, they do. In hockey, they have referees, right? You don't have that for yourself. You've got to be the player and the referee, right? So, just saying no is it, and you got to be able to stand up. It's a superpower to a happy life. Creating those rules, creating those boundaries, as Road Dog said, and then standing up to them. And the way you do that is say no. So Road Dog, that's kind of that's my answer. But I agree. I love it. It's that great lifestyle, and then that 7-figure business. You got to get down to what it is that they actually want. And when you ask somebody what they want, their answer is very seldom on point. So what do you think?
I got a follow up for you, but before I go there, when you mentioned the running into the fire, why do I picture Karl Bryan in the fire? And it's like I have the episode of Costanza in Seinfeld, just pushing the old ladies out of the way. There's Karl just trying to get out.
Come on, that's not me.
Oh God, I don't know why.
I agree.
That episode was gold, man.
Oh,
man. By the way, we've been getting into Curb Your Enthusiasm. Oh my God, that show is just as insane. Like, it's unbelievable. Hey, listen, I just a couple things I want to touch on there. You mentioned the question, well, what do you want? That is the hardest question in life, isn't it? Like, it always defaults to, well, I tell you what I don't want. That's not the question I asked, right? And so the crazy part is, people are so unclear on this, and I just want to state this, because we're talking about, well, how do you have a balanced life and a 7-figure? Why do you need a 7-figure business?
Yeah, ego,
right? Like, I relate it to this, Karl. So, like, back in the financial planning days, right? So I look at that and I think, everybody's chasing the returns. Like right now, everybody's, Bitcoin. I need to get in. I need to get in. I need to get into small caps. I need to get into the latest real estate. Do you? But do you? Like, do you? How do you answer the question, what do I want? And then actually done and reverse engineered what that looks like. And then actually, like, it's like in this, I'm just going to use financial planning as the example. Do you have a financial plan, an actual plan, besides something that's like, like a couple of numbers on a piece of paper, where you can actually go, here's my entire life and retirement planned out. And turns out, I don't need to chase 10, 12% returns. I only need 5. So why would you take on all that undue stress and risk of chasing Bitcoin, which we know is you got to have a real solid stomach to handle that, right?
Yeah.
But like, even inside a business, like, do you need to? Like, do you really need to as a coach? Like, have you even looked at the type of life that you want? Because we talked about this a while ago in terms of what was it, the 4 different areas or something like that? And it was like, I think we're going to get, like, I just, that part to me is, yeah, I don't know. Like that, for me, it's just that the freedom and, that just, rather than chasing money, I'm chasing freedom. And I don't need to be a cajillionaire like Carl to have that. So there you go. I don't need 15 Lamborghinis like Carl. I don't. Right.
Which I do not have, by the way.
Anyways, but I wanted to ask you now, because we're talking about business owners, but like, what about the corporate America types, if you will, right? Working for the man.
Yeah.
Boy, that is really not sensitive to what if they had a female boss, right? So anywho, like what about the 9 to 5? Like, what about those people? Are they?
Yeah.
How is that different?
Same. Yeah, look, same process, but success and alignment is going to be defined differently. You're saying, right? You got to be able, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? So you got to be able to define it, very, very clearly. And somebody working for the man, somebody working for the woman, somebody working, corporate job, is going to have, it's going to be different. Just like each of your clients is going to have different situations, family relationships, money wise, etc. Look, success and money ultimately give you better choices, allow you to make better decisions. Make no mistake about it. That's fact, right? Buy a nicer house in a nicer neighborhood. Why do you want to have a nicer house in a nicer neighborhood? Because you get better schools for your kids, right? Better friends. Why do you want to buy a nicer car? It makes you feel better. You get in it and it feels good. A month vacation without having any issues like, emails, phone, and, crisis after crisis. If you have you know what I mean? Like you have money, you have better decisions in and around that. Flying first class. Some people want to fly private. I was flying home from Mexico. It's my dad's 80th birthday. Go skinny, go skinny. We love you. But sitting in first class, right? Hope that's not too pompous for everybody here. But in the stewardess, I heard, so there's business class behind you. If you ever flown business class and first class, like there's a market improvement, right? And this guy was do back and forth, and I just overheard the stewardess offered $300, you can go sit up there, right? And the guy declined it. And in my head, because I paid a lot more than $300 for this seat, by the way, I just like, are you crazy, right? And it's just, but in some, and importantly, he has a different decision making process to me, right? And part of that, I would dare say, is he's probably never flown first class and like, your own cubby, your own this and that. And again, before I sound all pompous, the guy's in business class, so $300 is not taking food off the table for his kids, right? He's already upgraded. So I just think that, look, entrepreneurs want to grow it. Investors want to keep it. You got to understand where you're going, or again, any road will get you there. Like, do you want to be rich for a season? Do you want to be rich for a month? Or do you want to be rich for a lifetime? You got to be able, like Road Dog, you talked about a financial plan. Here's a mistake that people make. Like, if someone, were to be 60 and, be speaking to me, and ironically enough, I spoke to a guy on my flight home, of a guy who's actually, he's 60. We're talking about his retirement. One of the things I said to him, and I've said this before, but I got to tell you, it's so powerful. And his reaction tells me that it was really, really good for him. I'm like, man, what you want to do is you want to retire with income. You don't want to retire with net worth and, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, all that. That's great. You want to retire with income. In other words, like own 3 houses. And let's say they all rent out for $3,000 a month each, right? There might be some Airbnb in there and they might be whatever. Three multiplied by 3 is what? 9. That's $9,000 of income from the rent from the houses for how long? And the answer is for the rest of your life, right? Because I've got a formula: old money equals never sell, right? When most people sell their house, they get bad advice from a guy who's not wealthy, doesn't really understand wealth. It says, wow, if you sell this house, the price is up. Stupidest, like, oh, that's why you're going to sell it? Because the price is up, cash out, and you can put all that money in your bank account and then hope that it's going to grow. So you want to retire. Do you want to be rich for a season, or do you want to be rich for a lifetime? Think about that as a framework. I think if you put 100 people in a room that are over the age of 40, the number one collective fear in the room is becoming a paraplegic. And the number two fear is running out of money in retirement. And that accelerated after 2008, by the way. So basically, you want to, as a framework, you want to retire with income. It's a totally different psyche, but you get better decisions. You can hire, there's a lot of people out there providing, retirement and financial advice that wouldn't provide that. And I think that they might be, being remiss a little bit with their client, because that once they hear that, and the guy on the plane that heard that was like, oh my gosh, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. So, just knowing what you want, like knowing that you want that, and that you want to turn 60, you want to turn 65, you want to turn 70 and have 3, 5, 7, 10, 20, 30 grand a month of income automatically through your real estate, dividends, etc. That's what you want to be thinking about, right? But different choices, different decisions, right? Like selling the house and not selling the house. One decision that seems semi-similar but are catastrophic in the end result 10, 25 years from now. Again, you introduce me to somebody, a family with old money, and I'll introduce you to a great-grandfather that had the guts never to sell, or a great-grandma had the guts never to sell, right? So many people just get taken by the can't miss, get rich quick opportunity. Maybe selling the house when it's up might fall into that. Not sure. Every situation is a little bit unique, but I gotta tell you, you follow your friends on Facebook. There's this one guy that I follow on Facebook, Road Dog. Oh my God. Every time I see him, I just want to like X him, which I normally do. Okay. But this guy's actually entertaining. I swear he's changed careers like 6 different times. He's run a relationship workshop, a business workshop, a marketing workshop in the last few years. And it's just like, oh my God. Now he makes a confession that he's working at a bar. And I'm like, do you think that anybody is surprised by this? But entertaining. Oh my goodness. And he's given all this advice, by the way, and he can write copy, and he can create a video, and he's engaging. If you didn't follow him with a bit of a mental model and a, careful of recency bias and this sort of thing, you'd get taken by some of his stuff because it's good, but it's just like, anyways, look, in a coaching mentor relationship, if I'm going to help you find balance, right? It doesn't exist. It's work-life integration, not work-life balance, in my opinion. And remember, you always start with the little red arrow, you are here, and then I establish what it is that you want. And coaching basically is the rule in between. Remember, if I ask somebody, like I get asked all the time, Karl, what should I do? And I always turn it back. And some of the people listening to this will have, experienced this with me. But I say, you got to tell me what you want before I can tell you what to do, right? Like two completely different things. And Kobe Bryant, we talk about it all the time as a framework. If you go back to some of the other podcasts where I've gone more in depth here, but he knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted to be the greatest basketball player of all time since he was 15 years old. So his life was easy, and he never deviated. Maybe he rest in peace, by the way, poor bugger. Hope his family's doing well. Not a, brutal situation. But bottom line is he knew what he wanted, and he got there, right? So, you can't hit a target you can't see. Therefore, you need to take some time with your client. You got to do this for yourself, and you got to design that ultimate lifestyle. Like, what is it? And it's going to be different for Road Dog, and different for me, and different for you. And it sounds easy, but it's 100 times harder than you'd like to think, right? Like I ask people, what do you want? And they immediately delve into what they don't want, right? And then my crystal ball will basically see a crash course with what they don't want coming for them, right? So it's like, start with this. You don't need to work 80 hours a week to become a millionaire, right? So we're talking about achieving the lifestyle that you ultimately want, right? It's not like the old days where you need to, work yourself into the ground. You don't need to be a millionaire in this day and age to live like a millionaire, I guess is what I'm saying. It's getting easier and easier, and will continue to via fractional ownership, blockchain, that sort of thing. Like if you own a Ferrari and you only drive it a few times a year, which will be, which was what's going to happen after the novelty wears off. Couldn't three people own the same Ferrari and get almost the same value? Not the exact same amount, but almost, right? Or a boat. How often do you actually go out on your boat? Speak to somebody. And by the way, don't listen to me. Don't use your instincts. Go speak to 5 people who have owned boats for an extended period of time and ask them how many times in the course of a year did they get out. And if you live in Florida, it's going to be different than where Road Dogg and I live, right? Or maybe it's the ski chalet, right? Or maybe it's an airplane, right? Depending upon like where you're at. But like 3 people could own it and get the same value. So these types of fractional ownerships and opportunities are coming thick and fast. Just think like timeshare for cool stuff managed on the blockchain. And, there's a lot of movement right now in the world, and it is coming. I mean, there was just the Miss Universe pageant, and she won an NFT, right? Like I was like part of her purse was like I put a crown, and then they congratulated her that she owns an NFT. And I'm like, okay, this is, like if that doesn't tell you something about the movement, I don't know. And like even you could owning a hockey team. You don't need to own 100% of the hockey team to say you own the hockey team. You could own 5% of it, or the car racing team, or the ski team. You still get to call yourself an owner. You get to sit in the owner's box. You get to go to the owner's box. You get the business card, your name on the website, all the significance that comes with it, but at a fraction of the cost and the fraction of the work and the responsibility, right? So, it's so thinking about that. I don't know. Then some people are listening to that and going, what the heck? This is advice for you. This is advice for your clients. But I don't know, owning a ski team, owning a chalet, owning a boat, owning a yacht, owning part of a hockey team or a football team or a baseball team. I don't know. If that sounds cool to you, it might be significantly easier and more accessible than what you think. So lifestyle, Road Dogg. And it's just critical that everybody understands that they got to build a business that's going to be right for them, and like some character. So if you were to press me on that and say, so what are some characteristics of a business that will give you that, that virtual, life work balance integration vibe, right? Like the old 4-hour work week. Always remember, a 4-hour work week is great as long as your competitor isn't putting in 8. Okay, so don't be taken by the name of the book. Tim Ferriss will be the first person to tell you that a 4-hour work week is not going to get you very much. Warren Buffett can do it, but he put in an 80-hour work week for, about 50 years straight. So you press me. So I would want to go into a business that was growing, right? So I would want long-term demand. I would want it to be portable. If that's what you presume that's what you desire, and lifestyle is a big part of it, right? And there's a lot of people that do desire that. The beauty of a business coach is you can go anywhere, do anything. I was doing one of our open calls either last week or the week before, and I was saying, guys, like you could do a North American tour. Like every rock band, it's Taylor Swift, it's Guns N' Roses, it's AC/DC back in the day, Kiss, Styx. Why am I saying all these old bands? But whatever, Madonna, whoever it was, right? They're doing tours. Why couldn't you do a North American tour, right? And just go from chamber to chamber, like I did that in Virginia one time, right? I did a tour, and I did Culpeper and Richmond. So I can't remember. I basically just doing like a tour. And you could do a Canadian tour, an American tour, a North American tour. You could get mugs, you could get T-shirts, you could get polo tops. You could put it on your website. How cool would that be? You could talk about it. Obviously, when you talk to the accountant, you talk to the magazine, and you're talking about your national tour. You tell me if that's a message that all of a sudden might be a little different than the other business coaches, and that might be pretty cool. And then, by the way, get yourself a bus and then paint the bus, North American business coaching tour. You totally do that, right? But if you got 3 young kids under the age of 5, that might be a horrific idea. If you're retired, empty nester, don't have kids, look, go buy yourself a bus, paint it up, and leave tomorrow. How cool would that be? But so if portable is what you desire, but business coaching is one of those types of careers, one of those types of businesses. It's very much like that. High profit margin. Okay, drop the mic. The end. That's so important. Scalability. So I'm listing some off here. So Road Dog, number one, you want it to be a growing industry, something in long-term demand. Number two, you want it to be portable, presuming that's something they desire, but that's normally attached to a lifestyle business. Three, I would put profit margin in there. Four, what would I put? Look, scalability would come, but some people don't. If you're retired and you just want to make 250 grand a year and not have staff and a headache, that might not belong in there. But I'm going to say that you need to be flexible with all of these things, right? I remember scalability is when you grow and expenses don't come with you. Growth is when you grow and expenses do come with you. Okay, so people don't understand growing a business. Growth and scale are very different. But anyway, so understanding that, I'd say low startup costs for the simple reason that, if you're kind of lifestyle, I think that you want to just keep that all in check. Staffing would have to come into it, Road Dog, like little to no staff. I don't know, I think I'm 6 maybe. And can you outsource it? Low overheads, again, I think that's important because you want to, it also falls into high profit margin, low overheads. Money flowing when you sleep. So think of a subscription model, something habit forming. Not always going to be possible, but in a perfect world, I would have that. Remember, recurring revenue equals profit. So again, there needs to be a recurring nature. I never want to sell something that there's not something else. And just be careful not to get, fooled by the influencers. So Road Dog, real quick, somebody says, look, I want a lifestyle business, a business that I could, kick butt and really enjoy and not have too many demands. It just needs to be growing. Have it so that it's portable, high profit margins, potential for scalability if that's what you want. Low startup costs, because I feel like that's just lowers the barrier of entry, lowers the risk. Not a huge amount of staff. Humans are the enemy of scale, by the way, which might be relevant for scalability there. But again, so little to no staff. Low overheads, again, lower heads, they just eat into your margins. And then just, money flowing while you sleep. So a recurring nature to it. And if you could create something like a subscription model, you'd be well into it. Now, I think that you'll find that there's influencers. If you go to your Facebook feed, they're talking a lot about this stuff, but they've never actually done it. They've never actually, they don't really, they give a lot of bad advice, is my experience. They know how to market and get attention on Facebook, but that is not the way that you grow a business that'll provide you a lifestyle. It's in some cases, it'll create a little bit of a nightmare for you. So Road Dog, a little bit of a rabbit hole. What do you think there, Shoots? That's a great question, the lifestyle thing, and I hope that folks will, dive into it. There you go.
We could dive into it again a little bit deeper next, because there's a couple more questions in regards to that, but we're kind of up against it here. So what, like, if you were to again pick one thing, right? You're the one thing guy. So what's the one thing that somebody could take from today's podcast, today's episode, and implement to their practice?
You know what? I'm going to go to where I want them to take away. Go and have a look at the emails from, might have to Google my name and then search this if you want to read the emails about it. But just, okay, two things. Warren Buffett's advice. He wants something that he can buy for a penny, that will sell for $1, and that is habit forming. Help your clients find things inexpensively that sell for a premium, quality margin or luxury margins, and then habit forming. Turn it into a habit, right? So spend some time, like go to your client and just think to yourself, like, how could we make this product habit forming? You won't always be able to do it. That's why most businesses aren't the types of businesses that Warren Buffett would invest in, right? So that one, and again, I encourage you, maybe a Post-it note, putting it on your computer so that it really, sinks in over a body of time. You might start seeing opportunities in and around, that statement, that framework. And then the other one is Charlie Munger. And he said something, again, I'm probably making a meal of these two quotes, right? But they're, I'm pretty close. Show me the incentives and I will show you the outcomes. Again, just with your clients, with your client staff, with your lead generators, with the coach that works for you. Like one of our guys, he's very good at this. He built a team of 87 coaches in 11 months, and he's surpassed that now. Again, when he started with us, he didn't have any coaches, and now he's got a team of 87 coaches underneath him. Pretty huge. So the incentives, right? So there you go, Shoots. That's what I'm going to say is the final thoughts, the one thing at the end. What do you think?
I was nervous because I thought you said you're going to get them to Google your jokes. That's the last thing we need. Don't do that, folks. He's not that funny. But unless you're looking for good dad jokes, Carl's the man. So there you are. But hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the shock jock himself, the man on top of the hill, King Karl. And if you're not on the inside getting access to the pre-show where you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want generally more information how to build and grow and scale your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. And again, also, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it and please leave a review, because we know that all the streaming services, iTunes, Spotify, all of them give a huge amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard. And that is it for another week, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you in the next episode. Remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.